Hello and welcome to another episode of Football Palestine Extra. In this episode, we're going to be discussing three things: Palestine strikers scoring and assisting goals, which we love to see. Second thing we'll talk about is Jordan nicking Palestine's October friendly opposition. And finally, we'll look ahead to the ever closer Arab Cup play in game. That's at the end of November, outside of the November FIFA international break. And we'll ask the question: does he have Abu Jazar have a plan for that match? Let's start off by, first of all, thanking the premium subscribers who make this content possible. Thanks to you guys, I'm able to dedicate the time to do the research, to make this type of content possible, to do the investigations for some of our longer pieces. So I really appreciate the money you guys send me in the form of paid subscriptions. If you're a free subscriber, listen, I get it. Money's tight. So if you can't subscribe, consider sharing this content with a friend who you think could be interested in it. One of the things I'm trying to do is grow my free subscriber list on Substack. And as it stands right now, I'm just under 1,000 total subscribers. I'd really like to get over the hump. I need about 35 or 40 extra subscribers. So if you like this content, if you're already a paying subscriber, thanks for that. If you're not, and you're not able to kind of upgrade to the paid edition, consider sharing this content with a friend. Another point of procedure: you will be getting an email if you are a premium subscriber every so often, about every time Palestine plays a game, and you'll probably be thinking, why am I getting this email all the time? Well, one of the perks for our paid subscribers is we keep track of all the national team statistics. And I have all the information. I have information that even the Palestine FA has. So if you ask the Palestine Football Association, hey, how many games has Wessam Abou Ali played? How many games has Oday Dabbagh played? How many goals do they have? How many times have they started? How many times did they come off the bench? How many clean sheets does Rami Hamadi have compared to Ramzi Saleh, who was the most capped national team player in Palestine's history? The Palestine Football Association actually doesn't know. They kind of have an idea, but they don't know. They don't have all the statistics. I do. And in addition to that, I'm also adding another layer of information where I'm trying to track not only the date of birth, but also the place of birth of every single player. That way we can kind of get a nice little map going of which cities in Palestine produce the most international footballers, and which diaspora communities also contribute rather to the national team. So this is part of the work I do and part of the information I share for the premium subscribers. So if you can support me financially, please do. If you cannot, just share the content. I think a lot of people would be interested in it. And I think probably the thing about our national team is not a lot of people know about it. I think more people should, and that includes Palestinians in Palestine and in the wider diaspora. Okay, so let's get to it. This is kind of a weekly recap video. And typically what I look at to start is, well, how are the players based abroad, which is almost all the national team players now, doing? And I have to say, they're doing quite well. This is exactly what you want to see after a really demoralizing loss. I know it was only 1-0, but a really demoralizing loss to Malaysia. We hadn't lost to Malaysia in 24 years. There's 27 spots between us in the FIFA rankings. And it's not so much that we lost, it was the performance. So to kind of get back to club football and see, hey, Wessam Abou Ali got on a plane, flew back halfway across the world, went to Atlanta with Columbus, scored his first goal for the club, also assisted. I don't know if it officially went down as an assist, but assisted one of those goals as well in a game where they were up 5-0, but ended up only winning 5-4. And that's a game that helps them in the standings for the playoff race. I believe there are 4 or 5 games left in the MLS regular season, which ends on October 18th. And Columbus is kind of racing for seeding. And we'll talk about that in the third part of this video when we talk about planning, because availability of players, especially for that playing game, which is outside of the FIFA window, is going to be especially important. Continuing, Oday Dabbagh take a bow. He has scored his first goal for Zamalek in Egypt, and Zamalek are top of the table. They beat the only unbeaten team and the former table toppers Al Masri 3-0. Really good performance from him, and I thought he was doing a lot of good work in the build up to this game. He wasn't getting his goal, but there was a reason why the coaching staff of Zamalek, led by Yannick Ferreira, stuck by him. It was because of his work rate, and this goal came from hustle in the box and his work rate and being at the right place at the right time and finishing off a move quite well. Great to see that Adam Kaid actually started that move. The ball went to Nasser Maher. Nasser Maher had a shot. There was kind of a scramble in the box. Oday comes in, finishes it with aplomb, and first goal for Zamalek, the first of many. And look, I think I said when there was speculation about Oday's next move that I had a lot of reservations about this move to Zamalek, just because Zamalek was such a basket case of a club, and because in recent years they hadn't even been contending for the title in Egypt. That was totally Al Ahly and Pyramids, and those were the two sides that were going at it, and Zamalek was like in a distant third at best. They kind of would always paper over the cracks by winning the Egyptian Cup. 2 years ago, they won the African Confederations Cup, which is the second tier tournament for African clubs. So that papered over the cracks. They also beat Al Ahly in the African Super Cup that was played, I believe, in the UAE, or I believe it was in the UAE or Saudi Arabia. It escapes my memory right now, but they beat them in that. And so these sort of moments in the season papered over the fact that week in, week out, Zamalek were a bad team and a directionless team. It seems like the new administration, Zamalek, has stuff figured out. They're contending. Al Ahly's struggling. Now, you can never count out Al Ahly, and I think Al Ahly will have a say. But they just fired their coach, and they've got a lot of things to figure out in the other side of Cairo, on the red side of Cairo, the side of Cairo that had Palestinian hearts this season. Well, I think loyalties have switched to the neighborhood of Zamalek, to the white part of Cairo, because Adam Kaid is getting his minutes for Zamalek. The bag of scoring goals. Kind of hard to root against a team that has so much faith in Palestinian players and is rumored to want a third one in Hamid Hamdan once the winter transfer window opens. And then finally, I said strikers, so I'm not talking about one or two, I'm talking about three. Assad Al-Hamlawi assisting. Craiova wins 2-1. They're still top of the Romanian table. And, you're getting to that point where a quarter of the season has already been played, and maybe they weren't fancied to be title contenders. But as we get into October, if they're still in first place, there are questions to be asked of whether or not they can finish the job and win a Romanian league title. Now, what will remain to be seen is how they sort of balance their continental commitments as well, right? So Assad Hamlawi has 2 goals and an assist, I believe, in league play, but he's really been a big hit in the Conference League qualifiers. And what they've done is they've done a lot of rotation. I think Craiova is a really fun team to watch. They've got a lot of nice young attacking talent, both domestic and internationally, where they've kind of gone all over the world and found these under-scouted players. And Hamlawi is just one fantastic piece of that puzzle. So it remains to be seen whether or not they'll be able to balance that. You know that this is Romania, so a club, or the club formerly known as Steaua Bucharest, will obviously have a say. Rapid Bucharest as well. Cluj, these are sort of the clubs that we are used to having a say in the Romanian title. I don't know when the last time Craiova won a title was, but I don't think it's been the case since I've been covering football. In the last 2 decades, I cannot think that Craiova ever won. I can't recall Craiova ever winning the Romanian title. So them winning the title would be absolutely spectacular. Might be a little bit too early to put that forth, but it could happen. It really could. It wouldn't be out of the question. And they've played 9 or 10 games now in the Romanian league, and yeah, you're at some point the league will split, and that will, if they can build a nice little cushion before the league split, then they're kind of playing with house money once the championship round rolls around next year. Okay, so we've spoken about the strikers. It's not just the strikers that are scoring goals. We got this news just before the international break that Ali Rabi was part of the squad that traveled to Malaysia, left his club in Libya. I believe he was playing the Libyan second tier to sign for Shabab Al-Urdun in the Jordanian first tier. And although he's a center back, he scored a lovely goal. And Anas bin Oday, another Palestinian player, had a hand in it as well. And you like to see that. You like to see that it's not just your stars, right? We focus on the stars, but when you have also players in the Jordanian league that are playing well, that's just a huge boost, right? And it is, that league for us is going to, as long as there's no football in Palestine, will very much be kind of like the domestic league. So if a Wajdi Nabhan or Anas Bani Aoude or Mohamed Sanduqa or Ali Rabi does well, you can kind of think about it as, well, if they were still playing in the West Bank League, they would be kind of like the top domestic performers. Now we're in a weird situation where most of our players are either playing in Egypt or they're playing in Qatar. And the players that have gone to Qatar have also done quite well because, Mustafa Battat is a knock-on starter. He went off injured early in his game, but Qatar SC won this past weekend. Al-Shamal won as well with the participation of Tamer Salem, with the participation of Milad Termanini. So you like to see this because if you've got guys who are playing week in, week out, that they're in good form, that they help their team win and do well and compete for titles, then that's ultimately going to transfer to the national team. Now we'll talk a little bit about what needs to improve there because we didn't really see much of that in the friendly against Malaysia, unfortunately. But overall, I think the health of the national team is in a good place right now because so many of these players are competing week in, week out. And, we could probably spend the entire video just discussing, hey, in this league, X player did well. Like we haven't even touched on Agustin Mansour in Paraguay and what he's doing there with Guarani. We haven't really gotten into the weeds about players that Palestine could call in or give more playing time to, the likes of Mustafa Zidane, Mohamed El Ghoul, who is somebody who I've always highlighted as could be a good fit for the national team because you're looking at a player that can be the most advanced midfielder in a 4-3-3. And what's happened so far is they haven't really played the right guy there. They haven't given Mustafa Zidane, at least the new staff hasn't given him a chance to play in that role. And they haven't called up a guy like Mohamed. Actually, nobody's called up Mohamed El Ghoul. He's ready to go. He's done the paperwork. He's former Croatia U21 international. The best player in the Icelandic first division. So why wouldn't you just give him a shot? After all, this is what friendlies are for, right? But good to see all these guys playing, scoring, contending for titles. It's obviously a really, really good thing to have for Palestinian football, for the national team, especially in these dark times when there's no football because of just obvious horrible things that's happening in Gaza and the West Bank as well, which is preventing football from being played. Speaking of preventing football from being played, I had a couple of talks here and there about what the plan was for October. And all my sources were telling me that, hey, we've got our plan for October. We're going to go to South America. Oh, okay. We're going to play Chile. Oh, okay, that's cool. And we're going to play Palestine. And then that sort of went away. And they said, okay, we won't play Chile, but we'll play Bolivia. Like Bolivia really wants to play against us. We'll play against Bolivia. Either we go to South America and play against Bolivia, or and then like hop over to Chile and play against Palestino, or we play them somewhere in the region, and then they'll jet out and play Russia. And it looked likely that we were going to play them somewhere in the region, and they were going to jet out and play Russia. Well, they're still going to jet out and play against Russia, and they're still coming to the region. They'll be in Turkey, or Turkey as they now want to be